Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name remains Comfort Oladayo Adegbero. Thank you all for subscribing to this channel. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So today we'll be continuing a series on studying in the US. And here again is Olayinka. So today we'll be talking about the admission process. I got some questions about people asking what are the exact documents you need to apply for admission to study in the US, in addition to, the visa application procedures and all of that. So kindly stay tuned as we dish out all of this information in this video. Welcome back, guys, and I know Hola has introduced herself before, but let her just do a brief introduction again for people who are coming to this channel for the first time. And also, if you're here to watch like the first series of video, I'm just going to put the playlist, like the cards to the Study in the US playlist somewhere around this video on top. So just do well to look out for it. So thank you, Hola, and over to you.
Okay. Okay, my name is Ola. I was an international student, but now I've transitioned into working full time. Yeah, I'm also a YouTuber.
I think yeah. How can I? Well, it's good that she also introduced herself. So I'm going to put a link also in this video. Do well to check. She has lots of content that will be very useful, especially if you're looking forward to studying in the US. She has a lot of videos on that. So without wasting time, the first question I'll be asking is, what are the general admission requirements for international graduate students planning to come to the US? Maybe the qualifications required, the documents and all of that.
All right. So when it comes to qualification, I'll first of all talk about qualification, then I'll talk about documents. So I think the qualification is simply much simple. You have to have a bachelor's degree. There are some schools that will tell you that you can move straight to PhD from a bachelor's degree, or you have to do your master's first, or if you are doing master's, but just know that whether you are doing master's or PhD, you need a bachelor's degree. That's just it, because without bachelor's degree, you can't do any other thing. So bachelor's degree, and for most schools, they do ask, they have a certain grade points that they ask for. And in Nigeria, we use a 5 points GPA system, but in the US they use a 4 points GPA system. So when you are reading it, just make sure that you are cognizant of that. Most schools will tell you 3.0. Some schools that Oversabi will tell you 3.5, and some schools that are a little bit lenient will tell you 2.7. However, something that I tell people is that the way we calculate our GPA is not the same way they calculate their GPA. For someone that has a 3.5 on a 5.0, the person might be scared that, I might not make a 3.0. Actually, you would make a 3.0, because I have a friend that had a 3.4 something, and their GPA was 3.5 over 4.0. So what I advise people is, if you know that you are kind of doubting your GPA, 2.2, and it's I will advise you to do the unofficial WES evaluation. It's not always accurate, but at least it gives you a guide of, okay, this is where I am standing with the GPA. So pretty much that's the requirement. Some schools will tell you that if you don't meet up to the GPA requirements, you have to write exam, which is where the graduate research exam comes in. And I know majority of people mistake graduate research exam for test of English proficiency. No, they are not the same, because majority of people will say, I have my test of English proficiency even though my GPA is low. No, your test of English proficiency is to ensure that you can speak English properly and you can hear English properly, because US is a country where they speak English, so they want to make sure that you understand English properly. Now, for test of English proficiency, most universities in the US waive it for Nigerians because we speak English in our country. Like I said, some schools are still Oversabi. They will tell you that they are not waiving it, that they are only waiving it for people in Canada, New Zealand, UK, and like all of those people that have English as their native language. But I mean, for some school, I know there was a particular school that told me, like, it was on their portal, it was not stated that it was within it for Nigeria, but I just sent them an email. I'm like, well, I'm Nigerian. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you've never had anybody that applied from Nigeria, but I'm Nigerian. English is like the mode of instruction, right from like primary school and whatever. And they just told me to submit, my transcripts if they can see like English as part of it. So they waived it for me. So before you go ahead and write test of English proficiency, just make sure that you're confirming with your school if they're waiving it for Nigerian. Some schools do not directly see Nigerian. Some schools will say is the mode of instruction in your country. And from some schools where it's not explicitly stated, just write them an email and explain your situation to them. So pretty much that's it. Most of the qualification is usually GPA, GRE, or GMAT if a school requires it. And some schools that are not waiving it, test of English proficiency. So now when it comes to documents, for your documents, you need like your transcripts. I know most people ask whether they need their WAEC results for graduate studies. No, you don't need your WAEC results for graduate studies. The only way you need your WAEC results is if you're applying for undergraduate. But for graduate studies, you don't need your WAEC results. All you need is your GPA. And I know I said something about the GPA earlier. For some schools as well, they are very lenient that they will tell you that the last 2 years, that they can consider the last 2 years, if you don't make up to 3.0 GPA, as long as your last 2 years in school is up to a 3.0 GPA, because some of us, when we went to school, because we're not really cognizant with the system, we kind of like, maybe we did not do enough in second year. So that might have affected our overall GPA. But some schools will tell you that if you don't meet up to that, they can check your last your last 2 year GPA. So they do that. So like back to the documents, you need your transcripts. Your transcripts can be gotten from your school. Some schools will ask you for official or unofficial transcripts. Unofficial transcripts is the copy you can submit yourself. Official transcripts, you can't submit it yourself. It has to come from your school directly. Then that's that about transcripts. Then test score, if you're writing any test like the GRE, like the GMAT. GMAT is basically for people that are doing business, but GRE is like the General Graduate Research Exam. And of course, if you wrote TOEFL as well, you can. TOEFL is test of English proficiency, or IELTS. You can submit that as well if your school is requiring it. Then recommendation letter. Recommendation letter is supposed to be gotten from people like your lecturers when you were back in school and people that you've worked with. Simply people that can attest to the fact that, like you're academically ready and professionally ready for graduate school. And then you also need essay, like your statement of purpose. Now, most people just start by writing a generic statement of purpose. No, on the school's website that you want to apply to, they will have like a prompt for you. So don't just write anything, follow their prompt and use that to write your essay. And then resume as well. For essay, I know like there's a video on my channel. I don't know, maybe I'll send the link to how you can write a perfect like statement of purpose. Then resume as well. Resume, just look online, because like the way they write resume here is different from the way we write resume in the US. So resume, just make sure that like your education is coming first and all of those. And yeah, that's all you need for the application process. Those like are all the documents. Some schools do ask for passports, but I'm not really sure if they ask for passport from graduate student, but I think some schools do. But like when I was applying, no school asked me for passport until I got the admission when I wanted to request for I-20. So those are the documents. Sometimes they might also ask you, so for some other supplemental documents, they might ask you for your certificates. Some schools do ask, particularly when it comes to like the English waiver, they want to know, so they will ask this for your certificate. And like any other supplemental documents that they ask is dependent on your situation and dependent on the school. Some schools will ask you for a letter from your registrar stating that English was the mode of instruction, but those are supplemental documents, but that is dependent on your particular situation and the school you're applying to. But like the other things I said are like the main documents.
Yeah, that's a lot. Thank you so much. And it's very much detailed. So basically, as a recap, you need like your transcripts, your certificates, whether your transcript could be unofficial, at least at the point of applying for admission to the university. You need recommendation letter, and I think sometimes you might just need to fill in the names of those referees and they will contact them, yourself. And basically everything she said. I was going to ask about some of the tests, and she already mentioned about GRE, and I think the GRE, could it also be waived?
It can be waived for some schools, but some schools are like very strict on it. If a school is telling you that they require it, honestly, I would advise the person to
Yeah,
write
you
it.
write it.
But you don't want other people that are writing, because remember that like with graduate school, you're also looking for scholarship. So the only it's only when it's optional that you can be like, okay, it's optional. Well, I don't want to write it, because some schools will even tell you whether you write it or not. It is not like they will not consider it.
It's not a
But
selection
you try to
criteria.
submit it, yes. But like if you have like a very low GPA, that is an opportunity for you to write GRE so that you can prove to them that, okay, maybe when I was in school something happened, but now I'm actually ready for graduate school, because graduate school is a lot, and they want to make sure that you're not just coming here and you're failing. So that's the essence of like the GRE. But like for most schools, once they tell you they require GRE, most of the time it's not waived. It's only test of English proficiency that can be waived because you naturally speak English.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would just say, as she said, it's better to write it. And I would also say that you not writing GRE sometimes could limit the universities you're able to apply to, because when you have GRE, most US, it's just maybe a few of them now that are already waiving GRE and maybe IELTS for like Nigerians and maybe some other countries. So, but to increase like the scope of your search and application, if you have the means, please do write GRE. And what about application fees?
Yeah, before I even talk about like the application fee, so the GRE, something I advise people is, before you start studying abroad, have a list of like the schools you want to apply to. Because you might go and write GRE now, and then when you're applying, you find out that GRE is actually not. Because I know that after COVID, like a lot of schools don't actually accept GRE, given chemistry, like all those STEM courses that used to ask for GRE before. Most schools are now saying no GRE. So by the time you write GRE and then you now start applying, you now realize that GRE is not required. You'll be pained because the GRE money is a lot. So instead of wasting that money, just use that money to push in more application.
Yeah.
So for application fee, yeah. So for the application fee, I would say like you pay application fee, because I know that that's the question most people ask me. And you said that this school is free. Why can't they pay application fee for me? There's nobody that will pay application fee for you. However, application fee can be waived sometimes, and there are some schools that have free application as well. So you can look into those schools. If you know that you are not really financially buoyant, you can look into those schools. There are some schools with low application, but typically application for grad school usually range from like $35 to $150. I had a school that the application fee was like $150, and presently in Nigeria, that's like $160,000 for just one school. They are not sure whether they will even give you the admission or not. So just know your budget and know how you get, like, know your budget and plan accordingly with your budget. For application fee waiver, you can reach out to the school, and I know most of the time the logic that my friends have used that actually worked is that they will tell the school that exchange rates, yada yada yada, and even you can also state the fact that even if you don't want to state the exchange rate, you can state the fact that our Naira card in Nigeria now cannot pay in the US. I know some of my friends have done that before, and they eventually got waived by the school. But again, it's dependent on the school, and it's dependent on how you state your case. But sometimes the school can waive application fee for you. But then when you're now many, that you're not asking for the application fee waiver, they might not waive it for you. So yeah, but you can ask for application fee waiver. And sometimes some schools too, they have like times that their application is usually free. So if you know that you want to apply to a school, follow them everywhere. When I was applying, I started following all the schools I want to apply to. I was applying to. I was following them on IG just so that I know when they have like specific information for me, particularly about the application fee waiver. And I was able to apply to a school because they were doing application fee waiver week. I saw it on their IG and I was able to apply. And also another school because they were doing this information session. That's another thing. Information sessions, they used to give application fee, not all schools, but some information session, they give like application fee waiver code. So I went to one information session as well, and I got free application fee waiver code. So that's how I got that's how I applied to 2 schools without paying application fee. So.
Yeah. That's very informative. Thank you so much. So if, like she said, the first thing is before you even start all of your application, you have to research and have a list of the universities you intend to. So that way you know what documents they're even asking for, who is asking for GRE, who is asking for IELTS, Just the first thing is research and, make appropriate findings, follow the universities on Instagram or even if it's Twitter. And I think there are also some persons out there that dish out information on study opportunities and tell you, oh, this school is giving application fee waiver. So just be at alert and grab every opportunity at your disposal. And yeah, you mentioned something about conversion of your CGPA from the is there like a website or a resource out there to get it done? So I can include
they
it.
call the website WES. I don't know if that's like an acronym or like there's a full meaning, but they call it. So for some schools as well, they will ask you to evaluate your transcripts yourself. Those schools, I'm sorry, I run away from those schools. Transcript evaluation is expensive. It's like $200, I think. So they will give you, some schools will even specify the body. So like some of the body is like NAC. There's one that they call NAC. I don't really know. Then there's one, WES is the one that I'm very conversant with. They'll tell you to evaluate your transcript yourself because they can't pay for evaluation. I try, if possible. I mean, if you're on a high budget, honestly, there's nothing bad with that. But if you're on a low budget, the first thing is not to go and be evaluating your transcript. So for those schools, you have to, except you are very sure that, this school, I'm very sure that I will get in. Like, you're 100% sure. But if you're on a low budget, I will not advise you to go and be evaluating your transcripts. But for WES, they have unofficial evaluation. So that's what you can do. But I mean, except if you are doubting, you should not evaluate your transcript. If you get what I'm saying, because if you finish with like a 3.9 on the scale for 5.0, I am 100% sure that you meet up to 3.0 on the scale of 4.0. But when it's like you have like a 2.2, that's when you can start doubting that, okay, do I like meet up to like the GPA? So that's when you can, okay, just go on. You can just type it on Google, WES unofficial evaluation. If I find a link to, I will send it to you.
Yeah.
And just do the unofficial evaluation. So that's the way for you to go about the GPA process.
Oh, thank you so much, Ola. I'm really grateful. So, well, I think we might have talked about this before, but when they are to select people for scholarships, do you think they kind of include it on the website? What will be their selection, criteria? Are we looking for people with good work experience, or is it, GPA and all of those things?
So for most schools, typically they put it on their system, on their website when you're applying. When you go to, so if you want to know how the scholarship is, just go to like the financial aid. Once you click department, just go to the financial aid section, or like aid and helps, things like that. Most schools call it financial aid. So just go to that section of your course, not just of the general financial aid of the school. So they will tell you the different type of scholarship that they have. Some of them will tell you scholarship is based on merits. So what they mean by merits is all of you that you applied from the top down. That's what they mean. Like, oh, this person is like the highest, has like the highest application material. So when they are saying merits, it's not just by your GPA, it's by all of your application material. They have like a system that they use to grade it. Okay, let's take for instance, your GPA is a 10. Your statement is a 10, like that. So by the time they collate it together, they have like their merit list. So those are the ones they give scholarship. Some of them will tell you that scholarship is available on a limited basis. So in schools like that, just know that you have to apply early. And some of them, they will put it that this is the priority list for scholarship. So meaning that you have to apply by this day for you to get scholarship. If you apply after, it's not like you won't get scholarship, but now when you apply after, scholarship is on a whether it's available basis. So that is how it is for most schools. And some other schools will tell you, okay, like they also have external scholarship. This is mostly for PhD students and some master students as well. Like they have like external scholarship that you can apply for, like all these Black, whatever, like they have external scholarship that you can apply for. Like maybe there's a family or whatever that is funding that particular course, or maybe they're in association with one external scholarship outside. They will give you like a way for you to apply. So when you're applying, some schools will tell you to just submit like your application. When the admission decision comes, it will come with scholarship. Why some schools will tell you that you need to submit a separate application for scholarship. But if that would be happening, they would know. You will read it on their website. It will be clear on their website that it is not the same application for admission. It's a different application for admission. It's a different application for scholarship. And when you're applying for scholarship, simply most of the time, what they need is like mostly resume and cover letter. And some places, instead of cover letter, they might just tell you to write like essay on something. Some schools might tell you to write essay on like diversity, equity, and inclusion, things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ola. And one more thing regarding like financial help. Do you think international students could qualify for student loan?
International students do qualify for student loan. It's just the process of getting the student loan that is difficult.
Oh.
If you get what I mean. So like, not like it's difficult, but the point is that most students, I mean, my friend told me about one student loan that you don't need a co-signer, but most students loan in the US, they require a co-signer, and your co-signer has to be someone who is a US resident or someone with a US citizen. And they do that because they know international student, you can go back to your home country, and when you go back to your home country and you don't pay, there's no way for them to, track you down, because the US social security system is only available when you're in the US. Once you leave the US, there is no way for them to track you in your home country. This is why they require somebody that is a US permanent resident or a US citizen. Just in case you go back to your home country, at least they can hold your guarantor.
Hold somebody.
Your guarantor, and your guarantor will be the one to pay. So that's just the only tricky thing about student loans. So I do advise people, if it is possible for you to get a loan in Nigeria, maybe with a bank or with Empower. I know Empower, helps, finance people. Just check, because I know there are certain schools that Empower does. So just check if the university you're applying to is within the jurisdiction of Empower financing. So that way you can apply for your loan. Or if you have, family members that can, help you out, and then you pay them back gradually, that would be helpful. But students loan here is a little bit tricky because of like the co-signer thing I said. And you can also research online. I heard that there are some student loans that don't require co-signer, but I don't know, and I am not sure of it. I've not seen someone that tried it, so I don't really know about it. But yeah, but I've heard that there are some students loan.
That's very, very useful. I'm sure someone watching this will find that quite helpful. Thank you very much. So the next thing is, what is the visa application process for international students coming over to study? Like, what is the visa name? What's like, just like a summary of the process?
So the visa is F1 visa for international students, or J1 visa. So J1 visa is like an exchange one, and F1 is like you're coming to the US to study. So the process is just that when you get your admission, submit all the necessary documents to the school so that you get your I-20. Your I-20 is like the immigration documents, what you take to the embassy. So once you get your I-20, you have like your service ID on it. You can either pay your service fee or just start filling the DS-160 online. Once you fill the DS-160 online, you can pay your visa fee. Then you can pay your service fee. Just make sure that, so service fee, you can pay your service fee anytime. Just make sure that you pay it at least a week before your visa interview, just so that it can reflect before your visa interview. But the visa fee is the most important one, the one you have to pay, because that is the one that you will use to schedule an appointment. So once you pay your visa fee, you go to the website, they give you like a ticket. So you go to the website, you log in all the information. I heard that the process has now changed from when I was applying, because then once you just log in, because there are two places you can do interview in Nigeria, either Abuja or Lagos. So once you just log in, you have like available dates. But now I heard that once you log in, you have to wait for them to tell you that you can now start searching for dates. So you have to wait for email from them to say, okay, now you can now start searching for dates. So once they tell you can now start searching for dates, anytime date is available, just pick it. And yeah, that's just it. And then go for your interview, prepare, go for your interview. And yeah, and by the time you are applying for your visa, you should already have your passport. In fact, no school will give you I-20 without your passport. Because they put everything, because once they generate that service number, that is the number that identifies you everywhere. Even when you come here and you want to transfer, it is still that same number. It's just like a number that identifies international students. So that's the number that identifies you, and it is associated with your passport. So yeah, that's just the short answer.
You mentioned something about the I-20. What do you have to do before the school can? Is this just your admission letter? Like if you have admission and the scholarship, automatically you get the I-20.
So once, if you have scholarship, but the fact that you have scholarship does not mean you don't have deficit. So now if you have scholarship and a school is telling you, oh, we'll pay your tuition, but when they calculate, when the financial, whoever is calculating it, international office or business office, once they are calculating, they're also calculating with cost of living. And the cost of living, okay, it's not it's not really the amount you will spend here, but they calculate it in excess just so that you are safe. Do you get? So once they calculate the cost of living, they let you know that okay, the whatever you submitted is not enough. You need to bring like an account statement of this and this and this and this. And from some people that, they have a lot of scholarship because, like they are paid in PhD students usually have this. And some people in STEM and maybe a little bit of people in non-STEM as well, where your scholarship is in excess because, the stipend they are paying you, aside from the fact that they are paying tuition, the stipend they're also paying you in a year covers the cost of living. You don't need to submit any bank statements. But if it does not cover, maybe you have like deficit, like my friend had deficit of $600. It's not much, but you still have to show that, okay, this $600, I have it in my account. So you submit your bank statement to them and then they will issue out your I-20. So if you don't submit bank statements, they would never issue out I-20. They will never issue it out to you, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's something that was coming to my mind. I think I forgot about it again. Okay, so how early should people start like the application process for visa?
For visa or for admission?
For visa. Immediately, okay.
I would say immediately you get admission because right now, especially since that COVID, like COVID just a lot of things. Dates now is very difficult. It's a like very daunting task to get a date. So as soon as you get your admission, don't wait. Once you kind of like you're already calculating that, okay, once I get admission, yada yada yada, just have like a little bit of small amount. So once you get admission, you can just provide, if they're asking for bank statement, you're able to, provide them with bank statement and do this and do that and do this and do that. So once you get admission, start asking them for the next process. You don't have to wait for them to, send you an email and all. Start asking for the next process so that you can start proceeding ahead of time before, a lot of people start applying for visa and then there's no date again. So I would say once you get admission, because the visa process takes time, just start applying. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I remember what I wanted to ask is about the visa fee and the civics fee. Yeah, if I'm right. So since Nigeria has like issues with payment and all of that, how do people go about paying these fees generally?
Yeah. So for service fee can only be paid by someone in the US. So most people, like send their money to someone in the US. I know people that send money to me to help them pay. They send me the equivalent of the money in Naira and I help them pay. Yeah. I also heard of a website, but honestly, I think some people have used it, but I've not used it. So I'm not going to, encourage it, but I know there's a website that helps people pay. And if you have like any relative or friend in the US, you can just give them money, you give them the Naira equivalent and they help you pay in dollars. But for visa fee, I know that it used to be like you just walk up to any GTB bank and you tell them, I want to pay US visa fee. They already know because they do it. You can also pay on the GTB mobile app. There's a way they do it. And now I think I also heard that Zenith too has started doing it. But when I was applying, it was only GTB bank. But then Zenith has also started doing it. You just walk up to the bank, walk up to all these people that used to do stuff and be like, well, I want to pay for my US visa fee. They already know what to do.
Well, so you that you're watching your visa fee, you have to, reach out to either GT Bank or Zenith Bank payment. And if you have someone in the US, reach out to the person to help you with the service fee. Thank you so much, Ola, for that information. And, what advice would you give to students who are preparing to apply for a visa?
I would say be yourself. I think that is very important. Be yourself. And I would also say pray because, like sometimes, it's a physical process. So it's not like your document is going anywhere. But sometimes it's just also dependent on like the mood of the person you're talking to. Like maybe the person doesn't even, because for some people, like they will not even ask you, they will just ask you one question and they will not even allow you to express yourself. They will just be like, I'm going to deny your visa. So that's why it is also very important that you pray and you let the Lord go ahead of you. And also I would say be truthful and make sure that your story is coherent, because like if your story is not coherent, even when you're talking to like even if you're talking to your friend and your story is not coherent, like they're like, oh, what's happening. Even if what you're saying is true, just make sure that it is coherent and you're also able to express yourself. And don't expect that the visa officer, don't assume, that's the word, not expect, don't assume that they know everything. Even if they know everything, they still want you to like express yourself and say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And something else I would say is that if during the admission process, it was an agent that helped you, make sure you are also involved in it, because it's not the agent that will go for the visa for you. It's not like every other country where you just submit. It's not like Canada or UK where you just submit your documents. This time around, you are the one standing in front of the VO like this. And if they ask you any question, and because agent did it for you, you are unable to answer, even if you are a legit student, they are like, oh, this person doesn't know what they are doing. So that can cause them to deny you your visa. But yeah, overall, be yourself and pray.
Yeah, so I guess to just summarize what she said, the first thing is application for visa in the US is like an interview-based stuff. It's not like you are just sending your documents and you get back. So I think also you get your feedback immediately. Visa denied, visa approved, that kind of thing. Yeah, so when you are going, just prepare yourself. And I would say even if you are the one that applied for the scholarship, you went through the process yourself, you wrote your essays, for Christ's sake, you should be able to answer the questions they'll be asking you, because basically they might just be asking you things like, why are you going to the US? What do you want to go and do? What is your program? Which city are you first touching down in? None of that. I don't know if you have like a video on like that is very much detailed on visa application, so I can refer people to go ahead and watch. And I'm sure there are also very other resources online, other YouTube channels where they write down a list of questions that you can expect during like your visa interview and like that. So you should do well to check. And I would say don't be tense. There's a probability that you would feel anxious, even for normal job interviews, not to talk about going abroad.
The funny thing is, like, when you are there, like, you are seeing them like reject other people. So trust me, like, it's not like job interview, like it's a secret place. Whatever is happening, the person,
it's only you.
Yeah, like you are the only one that know that, I didn't do very well, I fumbled. But yeah, like it's everybody. So like when you're on the queue, or even in Abuja where they sit down, you can hear other people, you can hear what they are saying, and you're like, I'm like, God, now wow. So yeah, as that, still don't be tense. Just like let the word of God just be your anchor during that process.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Actually, so you can be tense, but still trust God and believe in yourself too. That's very much important. And I wish you guys success in that area. So, what about bringing dependents? How feasible is it? What about proof of funds? I know you probably didn't bring any dependents while you're coming, so it's fine if you don't have like full details concerning that. So, yeah.
So about bringing dependents, your dependents has to be your spouse. You can't bring your parents dependents. So that's important. You can't bring your parents. But you can bring your spouse, somebody that you are married to, or your child, whether you are married or not, whether you're a single mother or you're a single father. You can bring your child or your children as long as they are not up to 21. Once they are up to 21, they are considered legal to do anything in the US. So they are able to stand. They are able to stand on their own. But yeah, you can bring your spouse and your kids. And for the process, so they are dependent on you. And I think something else I should say is that for dependents visa, like your dependents cannot work in the US. Just know that before you bring your dependents. So that's why they are called dependents. They are coming to solely depend on you. It's not like other countries like UK, Canada, where your dependents can work and they can earn and they can assist you. No. So that's why it is important that before you bring your dependents, make sure that you yourself you are standing before you bring in a dependent. What I mean by standing is make sure you have scholarship, so that way at least the stipend they are paying you and your dependents can manage it, instead of you are still thinking about how to pay school fees and your dependents still coming with you. I think that would be very, very stressful.
Yeah.
And yeah, for more information on, I know I did like an interview with someone that brought like a dependent. So like they might be able to, they might be able to, like answer your questions in full, like any other question that you might have. But like the simple process is that if a school funds you want to get that I-20, if you want to apply with your dependent, just tell them that. They will even tell you to fill like a form. Are you bringing in dependent? So that they will calculate the money for you and your dependent. And majorly for your dependents, the only money they calculate extra is the cost of living, because I mean they are not paying tuition, they are not doing anything. So it's just the cost of living that they usually calculate more. So it's not really a lot of money, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah.
But it means that you have to still provide like statement of accounts.
Yeah, you have to provide statement of accounts. For some people, honestly, the scholarship some people got, it can cover for their dependents. So
really?
If that's the
please, how much?
Some people used to get good and very nice scholarship because of their stipend. Do you get like like all these PhD people that are getting 3K per month, 3K times 12, that's like
36.
36. Last they'll calculate cost of living for you and your dependents, 36,000. That already covers it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that already covers it. So that's because I mean your dependents are not paying tuition, it's just cost of living. I mean, most of the time cost of living is usually 8 to 12 because they won't even calculate textbook for them. It's just going to be accommodation and feeding. So maybe like 8,000 more. So yeah. But if your scholarship is not enough, they will tell you, okay, this is the extra or additional money you have to have in your account to get your I-20. But yeah. So
that's very important. So like she said, if you don't have scholarship, honestly, there's no even point trying to bring your dependent in the first place, except maybe you guys are already rich and you can sponsor yourself, because you can't work when you are in the US, as she said in the last video that she made too. And for more details on how to bring in independence, what kind of visa, how do they need to prepare, so you can just refer to Ola's channel. I'm sure you'll be able to find that video on our channel. And are there specific resources available to help students navigate like the application process? Maybe anyone you can think of and just point them to.
Resources to help them navigate the application process. I mean, in the US, I'm not sure there's like any resources on like each school's individual website, but I know there are a lot of YouTube channels that that help, that talk about studying abroad and all of those. And some places, if something is not clear, that's what I tell people. If something is not clear, these people are there for a reason. Ask questions instead of doing something that eventually it's the wrong thing. So always ask questions, but pretty much the application is pretty much straightforward. It's just like you're filling like a normal form online, and it's English, and we speak English in Nigeria. But if there's a question that is being asked that you don't understand, just ask them question and be like, oh, this is my situation, and they will get back to you. So yeah.
Thank you very much. And this last question I'll be asking, I know we talked about this in the last video, but just to reinstate it again, what are like the opportunities for international students at the end of their program? Are they allowed to stay and work and all of that?
Yeah, so after your program, you have like a 90-day period to stay back and look for work. So within the 90 days, if you don't find job, either you transition back into studying or you go back to your country. And if you get a job, so you can work if you're a non-STEM. Okay, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you are not that, arts, commercial, and all of those, your OPT is for 1 year. I mean, everybody's OPT is for 1 year, but STEM students can renew for additional 2 years. Why non-STEM students is only for 1 year. So that's just the chance after post-graduation. You can stay back and work for either 1 year or for either 3 years. Within the 1 year, you can look for something else to do. So many people, apply for NIW, which is like the National Interest Waiver for green card. Some people go back to school. Some people, maybe it's their workplace. Their workplace might sponsor their work visa, which is like the H-1B visa. And some workplace can even tell you that they want to sponsor your green card, which is like the EB, whatever, EB2 or EB3 visa. So yeah. So there are a lot of opportunities to wait behind in a nutshell. If you want to, if you don't want to, you can just finish studying. I have friends that, they finished studying and they went back to Nigeria because, they already had something good going on for them at home. It's easy to say, okay, we just came here to study and, go back to your country. So, yeah. And technically, when you were applying, you said you go back to your country.
I know, right? So, yeah, everyone is
probably... everything you said during your visa interview. I want to do this course so that I can come back to Nigeria, go back to the country and do it. Simple as ABC.
Yeah, you can go back and, contribute to your community.
Exactly.
Yeah, and show your patriotism to your country. I love that. So thank you so much, Ola, for all of this information. Yeah, it's quite detailed, and if you need more clarification on a particular aspect, just drop your comments, ask your questions in the comment section, and also explore Ola's channel, and I'm sure you'll find other informative resources there. And take that step of faith, take the leap, do your research, find the schools, have your lists, just be diligent in your own dealings too, and I'm sure God will crown your efforts and all that. So thank you, until we see again. You guys should stay comforted. Bye.
Bye. All the best. Bye.
Yeah.